All right, let's dive into a story that's, well, it's pretty out there. It starts with a crashed spaceship, of all things, and it ends up giving us a blueprint for innovation that's used all over the world. We're talking about the sea base theory, a really radical idea that came out of a city literally torn in half. So the whole thing kicks off with this totally wild claim. Picture this, it's 1995, and someone supposedly finds this artifact right in the middle of Berlin. And etched onto it are the words Sea Base Project, be future compatible. Okay, weird enough? But then the carbon dating allegedly comes back over 100,000 years old. And the story goes that this wasn't just some rock. No, it was a piece of a massive ancient space station buried deep under the city. And the story just gets better. The myth claims that Berlin's famous TV tower, the one you can see from pretty much anywhere in the city, well, it's not just for broadcasting TV signals. Nope. It's supposedly the original antenna for this crashed station, which Soviet and East German scientists supposedly figured out. It's an absolutely fantastic bit of sci-fi storytelling. But what if I told you this whole elaborate myth wasn't just some story? What if it's the foundation for a very real and incredibly influential place? Yep, you guessed it. That crashed spaceship? It's Seabase. But it's not some, archaeological dig site. It's a real place. It's a social hub, it's a laboratory, and honestly, it's arguably the single most important early hackerspace on the planet. This place literally set the stage for thousands of others that came after it. So, what even is a hackerspace? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a community, workshop, or a lab. It's a physical spot where people who are into technology, science, art, you name it, can get together. They share tools, everything from 3D printers to soldering irons, but way more importantly, they share knowledge and work together on all sorts of cool projects. The physical core base we're talking about was officially founded in Berlin back in 1995. But the idea behind it, the theory that drives its whole philosophy, that's actually way older, and it was born in a very, very different Berlin. To really get why Seabase was so revolutionary, we have to go back in time, before the space even existed. We're going to 1988. Okay, this timeline here is super important for understanding the whole picture. You see, the Chaos Computer Club, a huge deal in the hacker world, got started back in '81. But look closely at the timing. The Seabase theory was conceptualized in 1988. That's a full year before the Berlin Wall fell. This is key. This idea wasn't born out of a unified, celebratory Berlin. No, it was a direct response to a city that was divided, tense, and full of friction. Just try to imagine the city back then. It was a total pressure cooker. The wall wasn't just concrete and barbed wire. It was this massive ideological fault line running through daily life. But in the cracks of this broken city, something amazing started to happen. This incredible underground scene of artists, punks, musicians, and these early tech pioneers started to bubble up, and they were all pushing back against the way things were. Think about it, even just communicating was a battle. Over in West Berlin, you had the state-owned Bundespost controlling everything. I mean, just trying to hook up your own modem to a phone line was a legally murky, maybe even illegal act. And in the East, well, you had the Stasi watching and listening to everything. But here's the crazy part. That constant pressure, that repression, it accidentally created this new breed of what people called technological subversives. These were folks who figured out how to hack and bend the state's own systems just to talk to each other freely. And that's the whole point. The Seabase theory wasn't really just about tech. It was a deeply social and political idea. It was a direct answer to a huge question. In a world, and especially in a city that's so physically and ideologically broken, how do we build something new together? How do we connect and create when there are literal walls between us? And the theory they came up with was this radical blueprints for doing exactly that. It was built on these principles that were a direct challenge to the rigid, top-down world they were living in. It all boiled down to 4 really powerful pillars. First, mix different fields together. Don't keep them in silos. Second, organize from the ground up, not from some central authority telling you what to do. Third, make sure knowledge and tools are open for everyone to use. And fourth, embrace trying things and failing as a core part of how you create. I mean, this was a complete rejection of the Cold War mindset. Interdisciplinarity meant you'd have hackers working right alongside artists. A bottom-up approach meant there was no boss. The best ideas simply won out. Open access was a direct shot at state-controlled information. And that experimental mindset? It celebrated learning from your mistakes, which was the polar opposite of the rigid 5-year plans that defined the era.
So what happened when these ideas, forged in the fires of a divided city, or finally let loose on the world after the wall came down? Well, their influence pretty much went global.
The sea-based theory didn't just stay in Berlin. Just look at this comparison. The hackerspace model, which Seabase pioneered in 1995, laid the direct groundwork for the entire modern co-working movement that blew up about a decade later. Those core ideas of community, sharing resources, and people collaborating as equals, you can trace the DNA of all of that right back to this experiment in Berlin. And the growth was just explosive. I mean, look at this. In 2006, you had fewer than 100 active hackerspaces in the whole world. Fast forward just 10 years, and that number skyrockets to almost 1,400. Every single one of them, in its own way, is a descendant of the ideas first dreamed up in divided Berlin back in 1988. Which brings us right back to where we started. That myth of the crashed space station is so much more than just a quirky little story. It's this powerful metaphor for a community that's dedicated to building the future out of the broken pieces of the past. It's a playful nod to a very serious mission, and honestly, it's why they earned the title the mother of all hackerspaces. And that leaves us with one final, and I think really important question. The sea-based theory was born in the cracks of a divided city. It was a product of both restriction and incredible resilience. So it makes you wonder, in the social, political, and digital divisions that we see all around us today, what new blueprints for the future are being quietly designed right now, just waiting to be discovered?